Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. We continue with episode 2 of The Plantation, written by Wesley Martin. It's drawn from a collection entitled Mansions of Madness, and is part of Chaosium's popular line of Call of Cthulhu scenarios. You can purchase a copy on Amazon.com if you are so inclined. Troy Wheeldryer is once again the keeper of the secrets, and we have all been nervously imagining what might be lurking in the shadows down in the south on the plantation. Wayne Worthy, in his guise as Detective James Murphy, will recount for us the events of last episode. And so, without further ado, the players are ready. Let's begin our journey into the darkness. Wayne?
All right. Journal entry number 1. The Gist Case. Sunday, May 6, 1923. Life. Life is a son of a bitch. Sometimes it hits you hard in the guts like a 300-pound bare knuckler. And sometimes it's like getting hit by a Model T going 30 miles per hour down an empty road. Except the road wasn't empty. You see, my buddy Eddie insisted on me meeting his new pals, the folks who helped him out in his last case. We were on our way over there when life happened. Now, Tillman was filling me in on the details of his last case. A case that seemed to start off normal, but had some interesting twists at the end. He explained to me how this family was under investigation for insurance fraud. They claimed that a thief broke into their house and stole some priceless pearls that were actually, and that these people were actually involved in the disappearance of said robber. He went on to explain how some of the family members had that throwback look, that Innsmouth look, and how at the end of the investigation, the mansion was swallowed up by the earth. Now, I wasn't sure if Eddie was pulling my chains, so I turned to gauge him whether to see if he was serious. And I swear, the road was empty. And I only had my eyes off the road for just a moment, when out of nowhere, this kid just appears in the middle of the road. Now, I tried slamming my brakes, but my reaction was too slow, and as life would have it, I plowed into the kid. I got out to see how bad the kid was hurt. Now, part of me wanted to wring this kid's neck for just being so careless. But when I saw the state the kid was in, my anger turned to pity. The kid wasn't in good shape at all. He was malnourished. He was dressed in tatters. This is a young African-American boy that looked to be about 8 or 9 years old. His clothing was caked with the dirt and the mud that comes from long, weary foot travel. And speaking of foot travel, this boy had no shoes. He was pretty banged up, and my first instinct was to call the ambulance. But Tillman informed me that his friends weren't too far off, and that one of them was a medical doctor. So we loaded the kid in the back of my car, and we drove off to his friend's house. Once there, we got the boy inside, where Eddie's friend, Dr. Eckhart Bruner, examined the boy and patched him up. Now, I have to say, the good doctor's heart is as big as his impressive chops. Not only did he tend to the boy, but he fed and bathed the boy, also clothed him, giving the boy some shoes, some much-needed shoes. Dr. Bruner was one of the 3 that Eddie wanted me to meet. The other 2 were Dr. Grace Taylor, an airtight dame who has a way of calming even the most agitated individual. And we had Eddie's brighter friend, Mr. Walton Salmus. This dud-up drugstore cowboy must have let that small success of his one book overinflate his ego. That, or his rude and dismissive demeanor, is just him playing up, trying to hide the trauma of his last experience from his last case. Regardless, Samus wanted this kid gone, tossed back out into the streets to fend for himself. What a bastard. Fortunately, the dame, the doctor, and my good friend Tillman ignored this John's crude request. Well, once the boy was washed, dressed, and fed, we got a bit of information out of him. He tells us that he's looking for his master, Master Albus. He said that he traveled all the way from South Carolina by foot to find this Master Albus. and to let him know that there was some trouble with him and his family back home. Well, I agreed to take him to find his master and to help his family in any which way I can. I mean, hell, I nearly creamed the kid with my car. Least I could do is just help him out. So, Tillman and Taylor agreed to come along for the ride. Bruner and that sourpuss stayed behind. For someone new to this town, this kid, and you know what, I need to call this kid by his name. His name is Joe. So Joe sure knew his way around this place, just for somebody new to town. He took us through the crook alleys to shortcut to Master Albert's house. When we arrived at an old, worn farm property right outside the town, where we were introduced to this Master Albert. Well, Master Albert turned out to be Professor Albert Gist of Miskatonic University. He was surprised to see Joe and asked what he was doing all the way up here. He also invited us in, seated us in his study, fetched us some coffee, then settled down to hear why Joe traveled all the way up here to find him. Well, Joe then explains, nervously, that Master Caleb has been messing around with a mojo man, and that the two are doing some sort of strange ritual by an Obeah stone. He also explains that his mother and sister were kidnapped by Caleb, and that he barely escaped. He fears for the life of his family, and I swear, that look of fear on his face chilled my blood. If this stone is what I think it is, then Caleb must be dabbling into some sort of voodoo. Well, Professor Gist explains that by all these rumors and by his brother Caleb's unsavory nature and behavior, it's gotten out of hand and he intended to put an end to it. I began to offer my help in this matter when a knock came at the door to interrupt us. Professor Gist excused himself to answer the door, and a moment later an argument broke out. A moment after that, I heard a gunshot go off. I immediately drew my revolver and peeked around the hallway. I told the man armed to drop his weapon. Well, instead of being smart, the man decided to fire at me. Then suddenly, lead was flying from all directions. This goddamn dewdropper has this place surrounded. A hot buzzard nicked the side of my arm, but the adrenaline was so pumping through my blood that I was able to aim my peacemaker down the hall. I pulled the trigger, and God's holy judgment hit him straight in the chest. He called out in pain to his friends, and he started to run off, but God wasn't through with this doorknob. I fired another shot, and the man went down. His friends picked him up and dragged him to their car, and they wiggled down the road and off into the darkness. Everyone was a bit shaken up after that, but the good professor offered us a bit of the hair of the dog, and I kindly informed him where he should stash such an item, just in case the boys had reason to poke their nose in on him. Well, indeed, the boys did show up. They took our statements and began their investigation. Meanwhile, I called the good doctor to bring him up to speed on our situation, and I asked if it was possible to put Joe and Albert up for the night. He agreed, and we made our way back to town. After giving everybody the rundown, they also agreed to assist Albert in this manner. In the morning, I got a call from the station and was informed that they followed up on the trail of our attackers and that a car was reported stolen at the train station. Now, they assumed that the thieves were the ones who committed the attacks on us. And now that these guys are on the lam, it should give them a bit more grief wherever they're headed. Now, I'm meeting up with Tillman and his friends in the good doctor's house. And from there, we're going to head off to the train station. So now, I'm heading on a train down to South Carolina. While I'm at it, I might as well dig into Samus's books to get a better idea about the people I'm going to be working with. And that's where we left off.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I've never heard dewdropper used that way. That is fantastic. Thank you. So it's going to be the day of the trip. It's, mid-morning. The train leaves around noon. Anything else you guys want to do before you leave?
I would probably look in the library and see what they have on Obeah.
Okay. And you mainly find, like I said, pretty much mostly what Albert and Joe have already kind of explained to you. A lot of the stuff, that you're able to find is kind of the condescending anthropological writing. So, it's going to be from like a objective viewpoint of it, and it kind of dismisses it as superstition.
Okay.
Anything else?
What are we? We're going to South Carolina, but what is the name of the town that they're from?
So the plantation really isn't in like a town itself. The closest town to it, though, is Walterboro,
Okay.
which is about 50 miles away from Charleston, which of course is the capital of South Carolina.
So do we take a train to Charleston and then take a car from there?
And so Albert lets you know that he has a friend in Charleston. He's already telegraphed. That's what he kind of does during the morning, and he'll be picking you guys up in Charleston to take you out to the plantation.
Ah, wunderbar.
Albert's going with us, right?
Yes, yeah, because it's his brother. So he says, he kind of hints that you guys showing up on a plantation, would not be.
Well, while we're doing a bit of research, is there any sort of local lore of that area of South Carolina? I mean, we know about Obeah, but is there anything else that we might come across? Anything strange?
So go ahead and make a library use roll. Are you going just to the library?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do that too.
And I passed it. I got a 28 out of 40.
Okay. All right. So, you obviously see a lot of mention of, sort of the superstitious beliefs of people in that area. Once again, what you're getting is a lot of sort of Yankee, observations over the years. So it's going to be kind of biased. So there's a lot of mention of sort of Obeah, sort of the Christian denominations, of the area. But as far as like any like specific like practices or anything like that, there really isn't anything new that you haven't been told about from Joe and Albert's perspective. You learn a little bit kind of about like sort of the, I guess, ecology of South Carolina in that area. Very swampy. It's going to be considered the low country of South Carolina. And Albert probably would have kind of mentioned this to you as well. But the low country is basically like the poorer part of South Carolina. It's where a lot of the agricultural sort of sector is. So that's where most of the plantations were and are. Extremely hot, extremely humid. Luckily, you guys are, it's still like, April, May, or I think it's May at this point. So it's still going to be hot and disgusting, but not as bad as like July. So,
what about the flora and fauna? Well, mainly the fauna.
The fauna. So what you learn is lots of reptiles. So gators, snakes, frogs, bugs. Yeah, lots and lots of bugs. Pretty kind of standard swamp creatures are what you're going to run into.
All right. The frogs. Wonderful.
Yes. Hey, it's good eating.
That's what the frogs say about us.
Yeah.
Those little bastards.
uh, yeah. So you guys are definitely going to the swampy parts of South Carolina.
So I kiss my wife goodbye and say goodbye to my youngest daughter, and my other kids are already out there in school. And I get my clothes together and explain that I'll be away for it might be as much as 2 weeks.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a phone call to my fiance and tell him basically where we're going. And he's going to say, "You're going to see him, aren't you?" And we're going to have a little fight. And I say, "No, of course not, you idiot. I'll see you in 2 weeks, slam."
He doesn't live there.
Hey Troy.
What happens
I know
in South
that you-
Carolina stays in South Carolina.
I know that you made mention of gear. If we have that, do you want us to like send that over to you, or do you want us to
That would be
list it off?
good. Yeah, that would be good if you can. At some point, I'll just assume you guys kind of have regular gear with you. So, but
I have it. Yeah, I have gear listed on my character sheet, but you don't have it. So
no problem. All right, so you guys show up at the train station. You're getting all your stuff out. Go ahead and do. I'll say Walton and Murphy. Go ahead and do a spot hidden for me.
I make it.
Okay.
I make it.
Okay. So you two notice there are some kind of suspicious looking folks that do kind of stand out from the people who are kind of congregated on the station there. Their clothes are of a much different variety than what you would expect. For example, you notice a woman wearing calico, which is very out of place for Arkham, and you notice her kind of trying to keep under wraps, but you kind of lock eyes with her, and she just kind of disappears into the crowd. And then there's a couple other people you notice that are just kind of milling about and just kind of like, casting glances at you.
Men. Are they men? I know the woman.
Most of them are men. Yeah, most of them are men. Like I said, there's a couple of women too, actually.
Are they looking like they're looking for someone, or are they just sort of going about their business?
Yeah, they could be. They could just be, waiting for the train.
Well, what I'll do is I'll try to observe them to see if they give each other some sort of glances.
Okay. So you can observe them for a few minutes. The train's kind of about to leave, so the porters and whoever load up the we'll load up your luggage for you. But the train's kind of getting on its way. So you observe them for a few more minutes. Go ahead. Yeah.
Are we taking Joe with us?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Albert wants to take it back to his home.
Okay.
Unless you guys object to.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, you can observe them for a few more minutes, and yeah, like I said, they're just kind of milling around, but they are kind of casting glances in your direction. You don't know if it's coincidental or not, but they're definitely out of place.
Are they? Does it look like they're looking at Joe as well, or?
Yeah, they're mostly looking at Joe. There's a couple, Joe, kind of sees them and he kind of scurries onto the train, but he doesn't say anything.
I think Thomas's internet went down. He'll be back.
Okay.
Well, as I'm boarding your train, I let everybody else get on, but as I board, I'll take like one sort of glance back, and I'll sort of do a circuit of each of these people, and I'll look like I'm like casually glancing around, but I will rest my eyes on each and every one of them, letting them know that I know that you're looking at me, and then I'll go about my business.
Okay. And, while you're doing that, they kind of chuckle and they flick their cigarettes out, and then they all kind of walk off towards their vehicle. They don't get on the train or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the train, how long is this trip going to take us?
Day and a half.
A day and a half. So we have sleeping berths?
Yes. So that was what I was going to kind of go over. So it's up to you guys really how you want to do it. I was figuring that, maybe Grace and Joe could have like their own sleeping berth. And then, the rest of you, like, I don't know, maybe...
Yeah, Volton and me.
Yeah, you and Walton, and then...
the two detectives.
And then the two detectives, and then Gis can, sleep on the floor or whatever. He'll figure it out. They did have berths with, like, bunk beds. So there could be, like, 4 people in one berth, too.
Yeah.
So, but it's fine if you guys just want to kind of split it up that way too. We'll go that route.
But if that was the case, then it would be the 4 player characters, and yeah, and of course Grace has her own with Joe.
With Joe. Okay, cool, that works. So we'll go ahead and do that. So the train gets off. You guys are just chugging along. Anything you guys are doing sort of in the off times?
Yeah. So I picked up both books of Walton's, and so I'm going to start reading through it. And I have plenty of time now to sit back and read, so I'll get the full story.
Yeah.
Because Eddie just basically gave me the short version of it, but yeah.
I imagine too that like over meals, we will talk to Albert,
Mm-hmm.
And ask him, so what's it like being on a plantation? You grow stuff, and you have sharecroppers, and
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he talks about it. You guys can like tell that he doesn't hold like any prejudice against the sharecroppers, or at least he isn't showing it. He kind of has sort of a paternalistic, condescending look towards it. You all seem more like the kind of cultured cosmopolitan sort, so I think you guys would probably catch on to that pretty quickly. But then again, that's also pretty common really all over the United States at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of talks about them almost like you would talk about children, and just like, they kind of keep their own traditions, they keep their own sort of culture, but they're hardworking people, and he just kind of continues on like that. And you, Dr. Bruner, kind of notice, especially since you're a foreigner, that he's kind of presenting himself as like a scholar and a gentleman, sort of. He's trying to make like he's trying to be as like objective as possible about the situation, even though to you it's like clearly a brutal system.
Right. It's a holdover from a.
Pretty much, yeah. So. So, and then he just says it's quite a shock that this little boy Joe here made it all the way up here. Most of the sharecroppers never want to leave because it's hard work, but they do make a living out of it.
Oh, it's amazing that he found you.
Yeah, I still don't know how to explain that.
He didn't say the dream stuff to us, did he? He said that to Murphy. So I say, Bruner, do you have any explanation? Maybe he has he had an address, like a forwarding address or something like that. You were on the property originally.
I don't know. He must have at least heard that the master just lives blah blah blah. And,
I mean, I suppose it's possible that he broke into the plantation and maybe he got an envelope of mine that I've sent down to my brother and got the return address, but that'd be the only way. But as you could probably guess, the boy can't read.
I was just going to ask, yeah.
And the fact that he traveled 700 miles and somehow with no problem showed up in Arkham, that seems a little strange. And I look over at Dr. Bruner.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, it's quite strange. And then Giz kind of gets up and stretches, and he's like, "I'm gonna go see if I can find a mint julep in this Yankee train." So he kind of wanders off. Tillman, what are you doing at this point?
I guess not much of anything. Kind of boring. Although, at some point, I'd like to make small talk with them. I'm sorry, is it Gist or Gist?
We're gonna go with Gist. We'll go soft G.
I'd like to try and make small talk with him and kind of feel him out and see if I get a better sense of how he feels about his brother.
Sure. Okay. So you join him in the bar.
Yeah.
Do you have a drink with him?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So you guys sit down with your mint juleps, when you ask about his brother, Albert kind of looks out the window of the train, and just sort of says, I think my brother is getting into things he doesn't quite understand. Mr. Tillman, I know that you're not a scholar like myself, but I have devoted my life towards the study of human consciousness and things that are at this point unknowable. And I believe that they can be studied scientifically. My brother, on the other hand, I believe prefers to dabble in the sort of superstition that I think is untenable and cannot be studied. And I fear he's using it for nefarious purposes and terrorizing those poor folk down on the plantation.
Do you get the sense that he's doing this because he believes it, or do you think he's using it as sort of a tool against the sharecroppers?
He kind of thinks about it for a moment, and he says, well, yes, I think he does believe in it. He's always kind of been interested in it. Really, both of us have.
Mm-hmm. Each sort of took different paths, I guess.
I suppose, yes. He kept up the plantation while I left to complete my studies. But my brother definitely has a different view of the world. Yes, you can say that. While you guys are talking, Tillman, do a spot hidden.
Yes, success, 21.
Okay. So you notice a man at the bar who is casting glances at you both. He's dressed fairly normally. He doesn't really stand out per se, but he is casting glances at you. Granted, you guys are talking about a strange subject, and he may have overheard, you all talking about the occult and consciousness and blah 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 blah. And so maybe he's just interested in the topic. But he is casting glances at you.
I'll offer to buy him a drink and see if he wants to join the conversation.
He says in a southern accent, he says, "No, thank you though. I was just heading off to my berth." And he kind of gets up and walks away.
How is Joe looking during all of this? Is he looking nervous or more relaxed, or?
He's getting nervous. Yeah. Once again, Dr. Taylor, you've been with him a lot longer than I think most of the other people have, and you've kind of noticed his sort of behavior over the past day or so. He's pretty quiet. He isn't really talking much, but you can definitely sense that nervous energy hasn't gone away.
Okay. I try and ply him with as many little treats as I can, like.
And he's very appreciative. And thank you, ma'am.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. So the car continues on. We'll say it's about let's say 10 o'clock at night. People are starting to head off, to their berths. Dr. Bruner, are you turning in early, or what are you doing right now?
Well, yeah, it's good, early to bed, early to rise, old saying.
Okay, so you're going to bed. Mr. Samus, what are you doing?
I'm going to head to the bathroom stall, and I'm going to do some business in there.
Okay.
Runs.
Yeah, and don't make a lot of noise when you come in, okay?
Okay. Don't worry. Just a sleep aid. Don't worry.
So, Mr. Samus.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It is quite effective.
Yes. So, Mr. Samus, as you exit, you bump into a man, and he kind of looks at you suspiciously, but then again, you kind of see everyone is looking at you suspiciously, so you really can't tell. But he kind of bumps into you and kind of mutters an apology. And then goes into one of the sleeping berths.
Okay. And as he walks away, I say, "Watch where you're going next time. All right? Thanks." And I kind of like scoff and I walk down. I take note of the room he goes into because I'm paranoid as fuck, and I'm just like, fuck that guy. He just bumped into me. And I head off to the bathroom to inject things into my body.
Okay. Awesome. As you exit the restroom after injecting yourself, you
opiate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm like, let's go to bed now.
So you exit and you're kind of loopy, so you go straight to bed. What are the rest?
Do we know this about you?
I think that you guys would probably have guessed. It would have only started after the events had happened. It seems like he's self-medicating, and you guys would probably pick up. But he hasn't said it verbally, but you guys, as his friends, would probably, especially Bruner, would probably pick up that he's doing opiates to kind of self-medicate.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. All right. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm tucking in Joe,
Okay.
staying up a little while to read, and then turning in myself.
Okay.
We've probably had one too many, and I'm heading to bed.
Okay.
All right.
And then
I'll be up for a while.
okay.
I'm just finishing up the first book of Samus, and I'm basically saying this is complete bullshit. You know?
Rude. They got published.
Yeah.
No, remember the first book makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's the second book that's total.
First book,
Yeah.
yeah. In the newspapers, it was like this guy and the I think it was a sheriff who helped enter the house.
Yeah.
They're like, here's the pearls. We did it. We found them. It's the second book where it was like, yeah, we met the Shogun. There's a frog god in Oklahoma. Watch out.
See, none of that bothers me. What bothers me is you being the hero of this book.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, this is complete bullshit.
It's gonna be a fun.
I was like a waste of 9 cents. Damn it.
Yeah. It's gonna be a fun dynamic between you and me, James. There's gonna be a fun dynamic.
But then I grab a coffee and I'll be sitting, I guess, in the common area, and I'll crack open a second book and I'll start reading. And I'm like, I hope it's better than that first piece of garbage.
Piece of garbage. Okay, cool.
I'm coming for you, Murphy. I'm coming for you.
So, Detective, while you're reading, it's around midnight. You notice there's a couple other stragglers in there, sort of night owls like you, or reading or smoking or doing whatever. And go ahead and do a spot hidden for me.
It's a 73 out of 75, so I do make it.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So just out of the corner of your eye, you notice a man, and he had entered in about 30 minutes later, or 30 minutes ago, and he's staring actually pretty intently at you. It's actually kind of creepy. And then he goes back to reading the newspaper, in his little seating
So
area.
what I'll do is I'll continue to read, but I'll glance up periodically to see if he's staring at me again.
He is, yeah.
And then I'll say, is there something wrong with your eyes, buddy?
He says in a pretty thick Southern accent, "No, there's nothing wrong here."
Well, do you want to talk? Do you want to sit down and have something to drink with me or something? Why you keep looking at me? What's going on here?
He says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he
All
just kind of fluffs his newspaper.
All right, fella. I'll go back to reading, but then I'll look up again, a few minutes later to see if he's staring at me.
When you look up the third time, he stands up, kind of folds his newspaper, and starts walking towards the back of the train.
Is he going in the same direction as my friends are, or sleeping?
No, he's actually headed towards where the baggage car is.
Huh. Okay. So I'll let him walk, and I'll get up and I'll close the book, and I'll follow behind him.
Okay. So he's just sort of meandering through. There's only really one direction he can go in. But you two end up in the baggage car. And normally this area is locked, but he was able to get in. And since he was a little bit ahead of you, he shuts the door behind him.
Huh. All right. I'll go up to the door, and I'll put my ear to it to hear what's behind that, if it's just him or if it's other people there.
You don't hear anything. You just hear kind of the rumbling of
the train.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna go back to my seat.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So,
but I know what he looks like, so if any of my stuff is missing,
yeah.
feed him.
So you go back and sit down, and you keep reading, and you don't see him the rest of the night. How much later do you go to sleep eventually?
Yeah. I'll stay up for like another half hour.
Okay.
Actually, the start of this particular book starts off kind of the same as the first one, and I'm like, I guess this guy just loves to write about himself. And then I'm like, all right, it's time for me to go to bed. So I'll go to bed.
Okay, cool. So it's the next day. You all are getting up for breakfast. As you and Tillman, are eating breakfast, you both notice the same guy. He's sitting there in the breakfast room, and it's the same guy both of you had seen. Do you kind of mention that to each other, or okay?
Right. Yeah. So
the same guy that.
Yeah.
I'm like, Eddie, don't look now, but over beyond your left shoulder, that guy's, last night I was out here and I was sitting here reading your friend's bullshit book. And this guy just kept on staring at me like he had an eye problem or something. I was about to adjust it for him, but, keeping my temper. And I kind of point him out, like, when you get a chance to just glance over your shoulder.
And I'll nonchalantly look over, and so, I'm sorry, it's the same guy that was sitting at the bar with us?
Yeah, same guy. And he's eyeing all of you guys.
Yeah, so I noticed it too. He's been eyeballing all of us. I mean, maybe it's just because, we're Northerners and he's a Southerner and we're headed into his town. And it's just curiosity, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, curiosity is about to get his eyes shut permanently.
Did you say this is breakfast now?
Yeah, it's like the breakfast cart, yeah.
So I come in and join them, and I'm like, Dad, what do we have for breakfast? What are you guys talking about?
Bacon. We're having bacon.
Ah, bacon.
Bacon and toast.
The magical things that pigs give us.
Yes.
Yes, Doctor, we were just noticing that it seems to be we're kind of catching the glimpses of a lot of the passengers.
Oh, I haven't noticed. But
where's Albert at? Is he with us or?
He's with you guys. Yeah, he's eating.
So I'll ask him. I'm like,
he's a little hungover. He had too many mint juleps.
I'm like, should we be expecting this type of reception when we get to your hometown?
I don't know what you're talking about. Is there something going on? Something amiss?
Well, and then I'll start mentioning, like, when we first boarded the train, there were several people that looked like they were out of towners, and they kept on glancing our way. And this fellow over here, it seems like he's looking at maybe that's what it is. He's looking at our Dr. Taylor over here.
Yes, that could definitely be it. She's quite a beauty. What I'll say to that is a lot of my fellow Southerners hold grudges, unfortunately, and the war of Northern aggression is still fresh on their minds, going on, 75 years now. So, or 60, 70, yeah, 70 years. And unfortunately, they still have yet to forgive the Yankees for committing their crimes, in their minds, of course. So don't take it personally, and try to ignore it.
All right. Just making sure that we don't have a communication problem down here. We don't want any sort of violence breaking out, any unnecessary violence. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I ask too? I know we didn't get that good of a look at the guys that shot at us. Is there any? Does that ring a bell or anything?
You don't recognize this guy. Yeah, you don't recognize him.
Sorry.
And neither does Albert, by the way.
Troy, because I don't know if I'm here for breakfast, I was going to say, could I walk in and see them sitting at the bar and kind of say, like, what up, assholes, and hit, like, Tillman on the back and sit down? and immediately order, like, a Bloody Mary and just look at the group and say, so what are we talking about?
Yeah, that's totally up to you, yeah.
Awesome. Yep.
Just... have a seat. We are just having breakfast.
And at that, multiple people around you look up and are like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
I lean in close to Joe and say, see, honey, this is why you should never start drinking.
Put a lot of things in my body.
Yes, ma'am.
Bolton, we think that we might be being watched.
By who?
By some of the other passengers. I didn't notice at first, but now Ed and James seem to think so.
Can I look behind me and see if I see anyone that I recognize, Troy?
Yeah. So you do recognize the man that Tillman and Murphy have been kind of keeping an eye on, and yeah, he's the same guy that bumped into you last night.
Okay. I'm going to say in just a normal voice when I see him, I turn back to Bruner and the group and I say, that's the fucker that bumped into me last night.
Oh, God.
Put your hands over the ears of the little boy.
Joe just kind of looks bewildered and is like...
Don't listen, Joe, don't listen.
Albert kind of like snorts into his coffee. It's just like, oh, excuse me.
And I light a cigarette, and I say, the boy's going to hear it eventually. He may as well hear it from me.
Yeah, but no, Joe, you don't use that word until you're at least 12.
Mr. Samus, I would ask you to keep your dirty mouth clean for the time being. You are in front of a lady, sir.
And he takes a drag and he just waves a hand like, yeah, whatever. You and everybody else don't like my mouth. Whatever.
Well, I'd never.
I do declare.
I declare. Give me the vapors.
I turned to Tillman. I said, where did you find this guy at? I thought you kept hearing this.
No, James, he's actually a very nice guy. He just, he's a little rough.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Bruner's the only one I love. Bruner's the only one I love.
You're putting it on for the ladies. I see.
And I wink at Grace. Like, yeah, I am.
I roll my eyes.
Oh, come on. I could feel it during the last. You and me. I felt it.
Mm-hmm. Be careful, or I will turn my fiance onto you.
Oh.
And he's looking for somebody to pound.
That's true. That's true.
So, as you're flirting with Dr. Taylor, terribly, I might add, the gentleman that has been watching you guys gets up and kind of like it seems almost on purpose bumps into your guys' table and it kind of shakes all the silverware and everything, and the glasses, and everything, and he just all he does is he just kind of like nods his head down a little bit, and kind of like does his hat a little bit, tips his hat, and then walks off.
Does he have a smirk on his face?
A little bit of smirk, yeah, a little bit of a smirk.
As he's walking away, can I kindly stick my foot out to try to trip him?
Yeah, let me roll. Hold on. Let me see. All right.
This is escalating.
Okay, let's see. Okay, under 50, he trips. Over 50, he catches himself. All right, he does catch himself, but he looks back at you, and
is that smirk gone?
Smirk is gone. Yeah.
Well, I have a smirk on my face now. I have a smirk on my face now. And I'll say,
I just kind of.
Oh, excuse me, sir. Pardon me.
Quite
I
all
just
right.
blushed up.
Yeah, quite all right. And then he gets red, and then he walks off. Again, he's Murphy. You notice he's walking towards the back of the train.
That's another thing. Last night, he, like I said, he was staring at me, and then after a while, he got up and he walked back there, and I think that's where the luggage is stored. I'm not quite sure what he's doing in there.
Should be locked, I thought.
It wasn't. He was able to get in. Well, unless he's a worker on the train, that could be.
But he should have in uniform, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at this point, the workers on the train, or the porters, would all have uniforms and were almost uniformly
Yeah, I didn't even know what he was
African-American
wearing.
too. Yeah.
Now that guy has left the room, is there a porter nearby, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a porter who's been serving you.
But I say to the porter, do you know who that man is?
I think you would have called him George at this point.
George.
That's the uniform.
George, may I ask you a question? Do you know who that man is?
Just one of the passengers.
Could you do me a favor? He says, here is $1. Would you maybe find out what the name of the passenger is for me?
Well, yes, sir, certainly. And he kind of heads off to go see the conductor.
Okay. Yeah, now we find out who this guy is.
Okay, so
I would have done it for 50 cents.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he gave him.
He was feeling generous.
It's less conspicuous if a porter finds out who their name is. And
Right.
and if one of us starts snooping around, of course, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's worth checking.
Bribing people, and it's only breakfast. Bribing people, and it's already breakfast.
How much more time do we have? We have another.
So it's day and a half. You guys left around noon, so it's like breakfast time. So I'd say it'll pull into Charleston probably around like 6 or 7.
Okay.
So you guys have about half a day left.
Okay. So maybe they should.
How was the gentleman dressed?
He's dressed very well, actually. He is dressed in sort of the normal wear that you would expect of someone riding on a train, because that was he doesn't look disheveled. I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. He looks distinctly, though, more like a southerner than a northerner.
No, I wouldn't say that. If anything, he might almost be trying to look like a northerner, if that makes sense. He's definitely a southerner. You can hear that in his accent pretty clearly. But yeah, if anything, he's almost like trying to. It's almost like dressing up a dog, kind of dressing up a pig. Like.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to be offensive to Southerners, but yeah. Okay, so what all are you guys doing for the rest of the trip? We'll say until about 3.
Well, Walton and I think, are going to go and discuss exsanguination.
Exsanguination. Okay.
Bruner, though that sounds just absolutely like the most enthralling thing I've ever heard, isn't it odd? And like the paranoia is now like mounting. Like, isn't it odd that we're being followed?
Yeah, it seems highly unlikely unless there were people who came looking after the boy for Albert Gist, and now they are following us back. Or it might just be that these are Southerners traveling to the south from the north, and they hate us.
Oh.
Okay.
It's just,
Have they seemed to focus on Joe, or just on the other
Yeah, maybe
guys?
it's because, I don't say this around Joe, but maybe it's because Joe is with us.
That would definitely be a strange sight. He's the only black child on the train, so
And obviously, Grace isn't his mom.
yeah.
I could be.
You could be, but that would...
These people never know. They're too polite to ask.
Well,
If they're a gentleman.
right, yeah. Not polite enough to not talk about behind your back, but yeah. So we'll say, it's around 3 o'clock. Dr. Bruner and Mr. Samus, you guys are in the berth, chit-chatting. It's just you two. When you get a kind of weird knock at the door, it's very slow. It's like that.
Yeah, who is there?
There's no answer.
That's very strange.
I'm gonna sigh and I'm gonna just slide open the door and just be like, "What?"
So, greeting you at the door is a very large man. He's he actually is taller than the I guess
Threshold of the.
the threshold. Yes, thank you. Of the door. Very malodorous. Like the smell actually hits you even before you see him even. He grabs you immediately and starts shuffling towards the window. So he's grabbing you, so I'll let you roll to get out of his grapple.
Okay. Would that be a dodge?
Yes.
Okay.
And Bruner, what are you doing?
I'm pulling out my 45.
Okay.
Okay, so I failed.
You fail. Okay. So he has an extremely tight grip on you. You can actually, you know it's going to leave a bruise, and he just has you grabbed like this, and he's just shuffling you back towards the window of the compartment. Okay. Bruner, what are you doing?
I've got my gun out and I point it right at his head, and I'm like, let my friend go now. Or I pull the trigger.
No reaction. It's creepy, Bruner, when you're looking at him, his eyes are just totally glazed over. And the smell is just unbelievable. And you would actually recognize the smell because you work in a mortuary, or you've been working in working with dead bodies. It's definitely a rotting flesh kind of smell.
Anything like formaldehyde?
No formaldehyde smell, but it's a rotting flesh, and you notice the pallor of his face. It's kind of sunken in.
Zombie time! Yes!
Okay.
It's sunken in, and yeah, he's just totally focused on getting to the window.
Okay. Well, I probably instinct takes over, and I probably start yelling, "Help! Help!" But I'm yelling it in German,
Okay.
which I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm not
Help's
sure.
fine. Help's fine. Fine.
um, go ahead. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Let's do. Tillman, Taylor, and Murphy. Go ahead and roll a percentile dice, and under 50, you guys are close enough to hear him yell. Over 50.
Yeah, I got 99.
Okay, you are at the. You're talking to the conductor at the front of the train. You're well away.
I got an O2.
An O2. Okay, so you're right next door, and you race over, and you see this shambling figure holding your nemesis, Samus.
Hey, put him down. I still gotta trash him about his other book.
And tell me
And I
what
pull
did
out
you get?
and I pull out my gun.
Okay. And tell me what did you get?
Yep, 34 pass.
34. Okay, cool. So you rush over as well, and you see kind of other people on your way over, that are kind of like looking up, like what's, like trying to figure out what's going on. But you recognize it's Dr. Bruder's voice, so you run straight in there. So at this point, the zombie, shambling figure is at the window, and he still has a grip on Samus, but he's now trying to punch through the window. Let me see what he does. So while I'm doing that, Brunner, what are you going to do?
I'm gonna try pistol whipping the guy with my. I don't want to shoot him, but also I looked it up. Hilfe is
Hilfe.
that might actually sound like help when I'm yelling it.
Yeah.
So I just try and bash him in the head with my gun, and I'm trying to hold a hold of Walton as well. I don't want him to push him out the window.
Okay. So go ahead and roll for
Like grapple or.
Let me see what that would be. We'll do it as let's do it as I'll give you like a 40% chance. We'll do it like it was like a blackjack or something.
92.
92. Okay. So you kind of swing for him, but it just hits sort of the side of the car in the confusion.
Okay.
And you kind of stumble a bit. Go ahead, Murphy, since you had your gun out. What are you going to do?
Well, it looks like this guy's trying to kill Samus, so I'm gonna shoot him. I'm gonna shoot him in the back of the head.
Okay. Go ahead and fire.
And I hit him.
You hit him. Cool. All right. Yeah, so you shoot him. Go ahead and do damage.
Sure. What was that? 20 plus 2. So that's 12 points.
12 points of damage. Okay. So you let's see, what do? You actually kind of blow off his shoulder. Like his shoulder almost it's the shoulder of the arm that's actually holding onto Samus. So Samus is kind of let go. The arm is still attached to Samus, but the flesh that's holding together the shoulder actually kind of like falls off. So the man lost his arm basically that. What's most disturbing about it, though, is one, there's no blood that's shooting out. Two, the only sound you hear is a slight groan. It's just it's very, very slight. And
at
go
this
ahead.
point, at this point, I look at this and I shout, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Troy, can I kind of take the gun that's in my trench coat and point it in the pocket and fire?
Go ahead and make a luck roll. We'll do it as luck.
Okay.
See if like you're just so like shaken up by like being
And we're gonna have to do sanity for this.
yeah, we'll do sanity.
19.
19. Okay,
So
yeah.
I passed.
So yeah, you passed. So your adrenaline's running, and your paranoid fantasies are coming to life, and so with all the craziness that's going on, you're able to pull out your gun. Are you going to fire, or what are you going to do with?
Yeah, I'm just gonna fire. It's my revolver, so I'm just gonna unload.
Okay.
Essentially, I'm gonna fire right into his stomach. Like, no, you're not coming for me, zombie man. Okay.
Remember, James is right on the other side of him.
Yeah, so I'll have you roll and do all that, and then I'll have you do a luck roll.
Sure. I mean, even if it hits, I mean, no harm done. Am I right?
Oh my god.
But I got a 32, so that's a pass.
That's a pass. Okay, do your damage and then do a luck roll.
Okay. Damage is a 9.
Okay.
And luck roll?
Yeah.
I failed the luck roll.
Okay, so you do hit Murphy.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
Yeah. And you hit him straight on.
Am I hearing this stuff yet?
Yeah, at this point the commotion has reached the front of the train.
Good. What the hell is going on? Oh my god.
So how much damage does that do to you, Murphy? That seems like a lot. That actually, you only had 9 hit points.
Yeah. So you killed me?
Well, no. I mean, you go to 0, so you're going to need, like, immediate medical assistance.
Guys, I killed the bad guy and the zombie, I think.
It's the last time I help you, you son of a bitch!
God damn it. So the zombies still just try to smash away at the window. It's starting to crack a bit, but he hasn't broken through.
Have any other people shown up, like the porters?
Yeah, so at this point there's a lot of crowding. Tillman, you kind of get through though, because you kind of realize sort of right away that there was something wrong. So Murphy goes down right in front of you. He's just like lying there bleeding on the ground. And you notice this figure, try to smash the window. You have Brunner still reeling from, hitting his gun on the side of the bed. Samus has, an arm stuck to him, and his gun is still smoking. And just kind of maniacally, breathing. What are you doing, Tilden?
Can you give me a sense? In my head, anyway, I'm saying it as this is like just a small space. Is this
Very
like a really?
small.
It's pretty small.
The gun smoke is like unbelievable at this point.
And like pretty much as soon as I turn the corner into the room, everybody's shooting their guns off. So
yeah.
I'm going to look around if there's something I can grab, like a bathrobe or pillowcase or a towel. Is there anything like that, maybe?
Go ahead and do a luck roll.
48. Where's my luck? Oh, 65. Yeah, pass.
Okay. So yeah, you find the laundry is sitting out in the hallway for one of the porters to get. So you're able to pull some laundry of your choice out of the bag.
So I'm basically just looking for something like a towel or shirt or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and like loop it over the guy's head and then pull back so that I'm basically trying to bring him down to the ground by his head.
Okay. Yeah, do a grapple roll, and I'll give you plus 10 since you have like assistance.
Nope. 84 fail.
Okay, so you're actually unable to like get it over his head because he's so tall.
He's tall, right? Okay.
And yeah, so you're unable to grapple him. So we'll go back to Bruner at this point because you're right there in the room.
Okay.
In the room.
I think this is such a bizarre situation. We've seen no blood.
Yeah. Except for Murphy.
This is yeah, but and we'll get to Murphy because I have to help him. But at the moment, we've got too much going on. I turn around quickly to my my medical case, and I pull out my bone saw.
Okay.
And the one arm remaining that's holding on to Samnus, I grab a hold of the guy's arm, and I just immediately start.
So the arm that was holding on to Samus has actually been blown off at this point. So
he's not holding him anymore.
The arm is still like grabbed onto him, but it's not attached to anything.
How about the guy's other arm?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that's the arm that's like trying to punch a hole in the.
Oh well, yeah, that's going to be hard to grab a hold of.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I do instead then, because I didn't realize that. That's exactly it. I'm going to jump down. I'm going to grab where his leg is, right above the knee, and just.
Okay. I'm not sure what you would roll for that. We could do, I guess, medical. Yeah, sure. Let's do medical.
Okay.
Do you have any points in zombie killing?
Yeah.
New skill.
I got an 06.
Oh, nice. Ooh. Okay. So with a surgeon's skill, you after many years of holding down patients to, pull out teeth or, pull out stitches or whatever, you grab onto this guy's, flank, and you start ripping away at his leg. And you get halfway through it, and he kind of starts to like teeter over. But he's still trying to bang away.
Hopefully not onto Murphy.
Yeah, he's kind of careening over. At this point, Murphy, I'll say that you are you're slumped over one of the beds, and you're bleeding profusely over the bed.
Where was I shot at?
Since Samus was trying to shoot at the chest or the stomach. The torso, I guess, of the being, we'll say that you were hit in the torso, and it was pretty serious. It was a pretty serious shot. So
I'm gonna try first aid.
Yeah, Taylor. So you're at this point. We'll say that you made your way through the crowds of people trying to get over there. So we'll go ahead and say that your nursing instincts kick in, and you immediately try to staunch the bleeding.
Yeah, I got a 42 out of 45.
Okay, cool. So, how many points do you heal?
I don't know.
Be any healing at this point, but.
At that point, so
that means like stabilizing.
Yeah.
You stabilized him. Yeah, right. That's true. So
under 7th edition, first aid grants you 1 hit point.
Oh, okay, cool. So we'll say he's at 01. He does have the major wound quantifier on now, so he's definitely going to need medical help in a hospital. So So luckily you guys are like pretty much almost there to Charleston at this point, and I'm sure there's another town close by, so I think we'll be okay. But back to the zombie. Samus, you're starting to come out of your mania at this point, and you realize that you shot a man who you didn't like, but still you shot a man.
Yeah.
So,
Should I roll sanity for that?
yes. And we'll do sanity for the zombie thing later, but we'll do sanity for you right now.
Yeah, I passed. So
Okay,
54,
so
okay.
yeah, I'm still gonna say go ahead and do a D4 for like almost killing someone.
-3. All right.
All right.
All
yeah, I
right.
think
There
that's
we go.
fair.
Woohoo! Sandloss!
I think that's fair.
Like, you hated him, but you didn't hate him that much.
Yeah.
Well, don't question how petty I am.
So you do take a hit, and you're kind of like standing there shaking. So we'll go ahead and go back to Tillman. Tillman, at this point, there's a couple of porters in the room, and they're all kind of like stepping over everyone, and they're actually trying to grapple the creature guy at this point. At this point, though, he does break through the glass, so the glass is open. And I will, let me try. Okay. He does grab a hold of you at this point, Tillman. And he's starting to, he has a hold of you. He has no arm on this side. So he used his head actually to break the glass. And he's starting to bring himself through the glass and take you with him.
Nice.
Go ahead and roll to.
Quick, Bruner, saw off the other arm.
Go ahead and roll to escape his clutches.
Okay.
I assume I only got halfway through, and I'll get halfway.
Yeah, you got halfway through his leg at this point, so he's teetering.
62?
62. What's your dodge?
Dodge is 22.
22. Yeah. So you don't escape it. He's got about half of his body out of the compartment, but he's also trying to bring you along. So it's kind of a strange situation. You're like kind of getting like pulled towards it, but the porters are able to like kind of pull you back off of him. And he does have like kind of literally a death grip on you at this point. So it's pretty harshly grabbing onto you. Bruner, at this point, what are you doing?
Finishing the job.
Finishing the job. Okay. So go ahead and make another medical roll, and we'll see if you're able to saw through the sinews of his thigh. I'm not sure if you're at his thigh or calf. What are you
Medical? I didn't pass that one.
Yeah. Okay. So you're
He's
still
pulling
sawing
away from me.
Yeah, he's pulling away from you. You're still sawing through with like a determined look on your face. Taylor, what are you gonna do?
Oh shoot. Is Murphy stable? Right
He's
now?
stable at this point. Yeah, you've wrapped some sheets
Okay.
around him, and that seems to be kind of holding the bleeding at bay.
I'm just gonna start flailing at the arm that's holding Tillman.
Okay, all right. So you're there with the porters, and you're trying to take that
Trying to
away.
pull Tillman back.
Do a grapple.
Let's see. Oh, let me that base.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
We'll give you a +10. How about that?
No. 61.
Okay. So at this point, the zombies like halfway through the window, but he realizes that he can't really pull Tillman with him. So the grip lets go, and he goes careening off the side of the train onto the swampy ground. Yeah, takes your bone saw with him.
Shit.
But he does leave his leg behind. How about that? So you have the leg and the arm left behind, but the thing tumbles away, and you see him, fall onto the swampy ground.
That was my lucky bone saw.
So
how am I going to know if I need a bone saw now?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they have them in South Carolina.
Yeah. So first things first, the porters are shocked. Everyone's just like in total chaos right now. The train's still chugging along, but the conductor, you hear the train whistle blowing. The conductor walks in, and he kind of sees the carnage, and it's like, okay, we're going to stop at the next stop and get this man medical attention.
Yeah. Now I tried my best to see what I can do.
Yeah. So you guys stabilize him. He's okay for now, but he's definitely going to need hospitalization at this point.
I think he died.
He passed. Never mind. So at this point, you guys are about, let's say, like 30 minutes out of Charleston. Let me pull up a map actually and see if there's any towns that are kind of close by.
Now, in my medical opinion, if I stabilize him enough, could we wait another 30 minutes and get to Charleston? Could I talk the conductor into...
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and do like either a fast talk or a medicine roll.
Because we need a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Betting the hospitals are better in Charleston than wherever we are.
There might not even be one where we're going.
Yeah.
I missed it again.
Okay.
I don't seem to be able to convince him.
Yeah, let me...
Listen, I am a doctor.
I am a doctor. A doctor. How
about persuade?
Yeah, go ahead and do a persuade roll,
Try
Taylor.
persuade.
Yeah.
29. I bat my eyelashes at him and say, please
let him go to Charleston.
Yes.
So I think you guys at this point are probably in like North Charleston at this point. So you guys are pretty close. So he finally concedes, and he's like, okay, well, let's make it to Charleston. We'll try and keep this, confined to this area. We'll keep trucking on. I don't know how that man could survive falling from the train and losing 2 limbs, so he's probably a goner anyways at this point. So he reluctantly agrees to let you guys wait until you get to Charleston, and he telegraphs ahead to have an ambulance waiting for you. Yeah. So.
I want to examine the limbs. How is this thing could be alive?
Yeah, so you look at it, and since you have so much experience working with dead bodies, you notice it's a lot of necrotic tissue. It's clearly this man was either in a state of like severe sepsis or gangrene or something, to the point where his limbs were like almost entirely dead.
I tell the people, I say, this was a dead man. This is a dead body. We are now dealing with something quite supernatural.
And the porters are in the room are just shaking their head.
No, I'm not talking about
Oh, okay. All right.
Our group.
Oh, okay.
Everybody else would think we were crazy.
Yeah. The porters would be like, I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about.
This is like frog monster magic.
Frog
Ooh, I like that.
We don't need any more of that. So.
And unfortunately, we are now encountering it. It almost took you out the train. I tried to saw its leg off, but...
And it only took a day.
Yeah. So.
Want a souvenir? Here's a souvenir for you. It's a leg.
I'm gonna find Joe and make sure he's all right. Make sure he hasn't like seen anything traumatic or anything.
Yeah, so he was a couple berths down, but he just hid under one of the beds once he heard the gunshots going, and just kind of wide-eyed. He's just sitting under the bed, but he's quiet. Yeah, he didn't see anything.
I also asked Albert, I'm like, so tell me the truth. Is this the kind of bizarre magics that we can expect from your brother's witchcraft?
He kind of thinks about it. He's like, if he's getting involved in stuff like this, I don't know what to tell you. This is stuff that I didn't even think was possible.
Yeah, this is like voodoo zombie stuff.
That's this is something I never thought was possible. And Bruner, go ahead and make a psychology roll.
Okay. I also say to him, there, you may have picked the right people for this job.
Yeah, by the way, where was he during all this?
Gist he didn't show up like with everyone, but he's there now. You know, he came now, and he's horrified.
I passed.
Okay, so Bruner, you notice a small sense of almost like not pride, but like almost like a jealousy that because you bring up that his brother was involved in this perhaps, and you notice almost like a sense of like, oh, I wish I knew what he knew, kind of, so there's this sense of envy in there.
So there may have been a magical rivalry between the two of them.
Perhaps. But he says, I can't imagine that he would have gained this level of knowledge. This is unbelievable.
Well, we are in for a rough ride, I think.
Yeah. So you guys pull into the train station finally, and the ambulance is waiting there. The paramedics, or whatever the equivalent at the time would be, come in and take poor Murphy away and into the hospital, and they let you know.
I of course go with him.
Yeah, absolutely, and they would let you go.
I explained to them that I've given him morphine. So
yeah. Okay, yeah, and they pump him up more, on the way over, Murphy, you're on your way to the hospital.
Yeah, I'm coming with you, and everybody's probably making their way there.
Yeah.
Keep that guy away from me.
Yeah, it was an accident. It's just,
It was an accident, but
he almost died too.
I mean, karma. I'm just saying.
Yeah, karma is gonna come.
So
yeah.
It already did.
Yeah, you can write a bad review about this book later.
So Tillman and Samus in the craziness. Go ahead and do a spot hidden. You guys are leaving the train, and all your baggage is getting taken out.
Am I at least conscious, or?
Yeah, you're barely conscious at this point. You've been pumped up with a lot of morphine,
so there's a nice sleep aid there.
So I'll say, as I'm like kind of drifting off, I'll say, well, what did he do to the guy? Did he give the guy his book, and the guy just got bored to death and just wanted to kill him?
That's what you think you said, but what you actually said is the kittens, they're dancing, and I like to watch the kittens dancing. And we're like, he's on morphine.
Poor detective.
We are familiar.
Did you guys pass your spot hidden?
I did, 19.
Okay. And you, Samus? You're on mute.
I passed with a 30.
Okay. So you two notice as you guys are getting out of the train and you're escorting them to the ambulance, you notice your little friend on the train, the clumsy southern man, getting into a car and driving off.
Can I make note of the license plate?
There were no license plates back then.
Actually, there were.
I think there were license plates.
They go all the way back to the late 1800s.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did that in our last game, I think. Yeah, we asked about that. Samus, since you mentioned it, go ahead and make a luck roll, and we'll see if you're with it enough to get his license.
28, I passed.
Sweet. Okay, so you do get his license. And as you guys are walking out, one of the porters goes up to you, Dr. Taylor, and mentions, "Excuse me, Mrs. The man with the beard, he's already gone, but I thought I'd let you know. The name I got for the gentleman who's bothering y'all is a John Smith." And
John Smith.
yeah, but he mentions he did have some strange stuff in the baggage car, and he says, "Can I show you real quick?"
Please do.
Okay, so he takes you back to the baggage car, and he says, "Well, he left in a mighty hurry, so he forgot his bags. So they're here, and you can look at them. I don't mind. But the interesting thing is he also brought a coffin on board. But take a look."
Mhm.
And he shows you the coffin, and it's totally smashed. It's smashed through. And he says, "This is the damn strangest thing I've ever seen." He just walks off, lights a cigarette, and he's like, "I don't know what the hell." So he just kind of leaves you alone in the baggage car with the guy's baggage.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go through the bags and see if there's anything like that, anything unusual.
Okay, so I'll give you a couple minutes just because there's other reporters in there, kind of taking off all the bags and stuff. But you.
I mean, if there's any money, I'm gonna take it. So.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can take any of the money that's in there. It's mostly just kind of like standard stuff, but you notice some no books.
Damn.
I'll let you get off that easy. No books, but you do notice something strange. There's no other clothes in there, which is weird. You would expect, if he was like an actual traveler, that he'd have like clothes with him, but it really at this point it's just there's like shaving materials and like just sort of like toiletries, but no like other clothes. So he just had the clothes on his back, which is kind of weird, but that's the only kind of strange thing you notice besides the coffin that was broken out of. Yeah.
Is there anything still inside the coffin?
No, there's nothing in the coffin.
Okay.
Just the disgusting stench of rotting flesh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stay too near that.
Yeah. Okay, so
I'll pick up a nice packet of shaving toiletries for my fiance when I get back.
Okay. So you guys all head over to the hospital where Murphy is, put in recovery, and they stitch him up. The doctor there recommends that he stays, at least for a few days, maybe longer, but they're able to pretty much stitch him up, and none of the bullets, struck his spine or anything. So, but he's not in good shape.
Okay, well, perhaps we need to wait here for a couple of days before we move on.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't say that in my German accent, but yeah, that's what I
But maybe the ritual will take place in those few days.
Maybe if you hadn't shot him.
Maybe if you didn't criticize my book. I mean, if he wasn't in the way.
Maybe, Volton, you should stay here and take care of him and apologize. And, I don't know.
Fine.
Maybe.
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that. And I then kind of look at Bruner, and I guess I open up my briefcase and I'm rifling through it, and I say, so I guess that you're going to the house then, just to check it out?
Yeah, I think I changed my mind. I think you should go because you'll probably not help. No.
And I put my hand up and I say, I'll do it.
If it's
Just
necessary, no, I think perhaps because you are our resident hero, you should go because you seem to solve all the cases.
Albert, Albert's there too, and he says, I'm going to go talk to my contact here and let him know we're going to be delayed. I think it's best that we stay another day or so here in Charleston and make sure Mr. Murphy gets well soon. Joe, is antsy. He's well, my sister, we need to figure out what's going on with her. And Albert just kind of pats him on the head and says, we'll get to your sister, I promise. But we need to make sure Mr. Murphy, who, so diligently, came down here and took a break from his life to come help us, gets better. And Joe kind of nods. He says, okay. And Albert says, I'm gonna go find my friend who's gonna be driving us to the plantation, and I'll take him over here.
All right, we wait for you here.
Okay. So let's see here. So while he's going to get his driver, are you guys just going to wait in the hospital? Are you going to go into the town at all, or what?
I'm going to stay at the hospital and make sure.
Okay.
And so you guys do what you need to do. You don't all have to stay. I'm doctor. I can stay.
Yeah, the doctors are like, he's stable right now, so he's under care. He's under watch.
Go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say that I can discuss with James something interesting, like how the ancients used to read the entrails of dead animals and people. And there's some merit to it, I've seen in some dead bodies. Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
What are the rest of you doing?
Well, I was going to ask Dr. Taylor if she'd accompany me into town. Maybe we'll find the customary voodoo shops, essentially. I mean, where there is generally a religion, there are generally shops or marketplaces that accommodate for said religion.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. And then, Tillman, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'd like to stick by my buddy Murphy's side.
Besides Samus?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you guys kind of go into the town center. Your Yankee accents immediately set you apart, and if that wasn't bad enough, you bringing up voodoo immediately puts the people on edge. But you do get pointed to kind of a seedier part of town. And you do find some shops that kind of cater to more they kind of use terms like apothecary, but Samus, you would kind of know these places as like, okay, these are the good places to go to or whatever.
Okay.
As you kind of talk to the locals, they you kind of mentioned the plantation, you mentioned the Gist name, and a few of them, especially the black people recognize the name, and they kind of shake their heads, and they're just like, that place has bad juju. There isn't anything good coming out of that place, and that's kind of the vibe you get, is like it has a bad reputation. Several people that you talk to mention a phenomenon called hellholes, which to your guys' mind, it kind of almost sounds like quicksand, But to the paranormal investigator, it's these people are literally pulled into the ground and into hell, basically, dragged into the earth, and it closes up after that, after the bodies go through. So that's a rumor, and you hear that there's been a lot of reports of stuff like that going on around that plantation.
Lots of disappearances there.
Anecdotally, that's what you hear from the people sort of in the voodoo occult circles. But if you want to actually follow up on it, you'd have to go to a police station or something like that.
I'm gonna ask, especially the quote unquote witch doctors, the self-proclaimed witch doctors, if there's any rumors or legends or just tall tales about the surrounding forests, because I know they said that this relic, this thing, was in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if I don't think this is the bayou. No, that's further south. But in the marshes of this place, if there are any legends or sayings like "Don't go here" because you'll hear the people chanting and dancing naked and cutting themselves in the moon or anything like that.
Right. So you talk to a guy who is sort of well regarded among this particular voodoo shop that you're at, and he's an older man, and he kind of nods, and he's like, "Well, I've never been out to this place, but I think you all should stay away from it." But that's really all he says. He can't really bring up any specifics about the area. He just kind of mutters that there's bad juju around there, and then tries to hawk a bunch of spells and charms and stuff for you guys to buy.
Can we say that we have Joe with us? Because that way I'm thinking he can maybe point out, oh no, that guy's an idiot. Don't talk to him, or don't go down that alley, you get beaten up or whatever.
I'm gonna say no, just because one, he wouldn't really be familiar with Charleston anyways, because he's lived on the plantation all of his life, and two, I don't think it would be particularly relevant to bring a kid along for stuff like this. So I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say he stayed at the hospital with Dr. Berner.
Okay.
Sorry, but yeah, he, like I said, he probably wouldn't have known anything anyways, really.
I just thought maybe because he liked to stick around me a lot, and
yeah, no, sorry.
Okay. all right.
Okay, so yeah, at that point it basically just turns into them trying to sell you stuff. Are you gonna buy any of the the charms or anything? Or?
Sure, yeah, why not? What do they got?
Yeah, so Samus, I'm sure you'd want to get some of the stuff. So yeah, they start pulling out all the stuff, and you can tell they want some of that Yankee money. So so they pull out all the things. Samus, if you want, you can roll an occult roll.
Actually, I was thinking of doing that myself.
Oh yeah, sure, you can do it too, Taylor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
36.
Yeah. So you guys pretty much realize most of this is just crap. There really isn't.
Is there anything really good in there?
Is there anything of relevance to spells or charms or anything like that?
Protected from the undead.
Oh, Tom dropped.
Uh-oh. Go ahead, both of you, make a luck roll, because the occult roll was to figure out if any stuff that they were selling was good.
20. I passed.
20.
Yep, made it.
All right. So you guys do notice some interesting artifacts, shall we say. You don't know if they hold any special real occult significance, but they're very interesting. For example, you notice some sort of voodoo dolls that are up on the counter that have actually like real human hair attached to it, not horse or cat or dog or whatever. So those are pretty interesting.
So we can tell that they're authentic.
You can tell that they were authentic. Yeah, voodoo dolls. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll buy one for me and the missus.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
I'll even add that to my inventory. That's going in my artifacts.
Perfect. Real voodoo dolls. Awesome. Okay. Tillman, what are you doing?
I'm not sure if you heard me before, but I was saying I was staying with Murphy in the hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going with Samus.
We are having a conversation. I was just telling him that under normal circumstances, just the testicles are removed, but sometimes the entire genitalia is removed, and the whole wound is sealed with a red-hot knife to keep it from bleeding.
Murphy, are you up for some coffee? Can I get you some coffee?
I'm going to retcon buying some cheap little crap thing to show to my fiance to prove things out. I'm not seeing anybody! I actually live here!
Absolutely. They have tons of touristy crap that you can buy. So that's they love seeing Yankees come into town.
Yes.
Okay. Anywhere else you guys want to look in Charleston?
I wonder if we should stop by the police station and ask about any kind of disappearances.
That's probably not a bad idea. I will have you guys stop by. If you mention the Gist Plantation, they will. They'll and you mentioned like hellholes and stuff like that. They'll just shake their head and just say, "But the place is old and run down as that that plantation. People are bound to go missing, and animals are bound to go missing. Plus, between the snakes and gators and the quicksand there, I'm surprised they don't lose more. But it's hard to keep track of what's going on in those plantations. We kind of leave it to the locals to handle that sort of thing. Things don't usually come up here to Charleston. Oh yeah, thank you. Go ahead and roll for sanity on the zombie. I forgot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ugh. Is that for everybody?
Yes.
I can't believe I got an extreme on that. I wasted an extreme on a sanity roll.
I got an extreme as well.
An extreme, really? Nice. Wow, yeah. Who failed?
I missed by
99.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, 1d6 for both of you. Wow, the people who were like right in the epicenter of it.
Yeah, well, you've seen one dead body, you've seen them all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
5.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys were pretty shooken up by that. But helping out your poor friend Murphy. Murphy, what did you lose or did you pass sanity?
Let me roll.
Okay, thank you.
I got an extreme as well.
Extreme, nice. Okay, great. So that was nothing.
This is just one of those adventures we have on the weekends.
No problem.
So while I'm in town, what kind of firearm would one need to protect oneself from, say, a gator? What kind of weaponry would one need?
A 12-gauge shotgun.
Yeah, I'd say a shotgun would probably be your standard gator hunting.
Isn't that just going to shoot shots? That's what you shoot rabbits with.
You can shoot. You can get slugs for that too.
Yeah.
Even a handgun, you point it at a gator's head, it's going to kill the gator.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have to get kind of close to it?
Not necessarily. I mean, they're just animals.
But they move pretty quick. That's the thing. They can get on you pretty fast.
Does anybody of us have shotgun beyond base?
Okay, so Eckhart has a Luger.
I've got my 38.
You have a 38.
I've heard I called it a 45. It's not. It's a Luger.
Tillman has a 38, and Murphy has a Remington 45. Okay. So, no, you guys don't have shotgun as far as I can see beyond base, but if you want to grab it.
I'll grab one, yeah.
Maybe a rifle. I don't know.
Well, the base for rifle is lower than the one for shotgun. Shotgun is 30, rifle's 25. So you got a better chance with a shotgun.
Okay. Yeah, sure. They're going to overcharge you for sure because, one, you're a woman. I'm sure Samus will go with you or whatever, but yeah, they're going to overcharge you like crazy. So just be aware of that unless you want to bargain, but I think you only have base. So you'll spend a pretty penny on the shotgun. I want to see something here. Nope, he doesn't. Does guest? Nope. Okay, cool. All right, so
Now, what's the damage for a shotgun?
2d6, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it. 2d6 plus 2? Is that it? Or is that just the damage bonus? I think that might be damage bonus or something. I'll check on that. But yeah, it's pretty significant. Okay.
Say hello to Betsy.
Betsy. All right, Big Betsy.
Yeah.
Okay. Samus and Taylor, anything else you guys are doing in Charleston?
I'm good.
Let's
Yeah,
get some lunch.
Huh?
yeah. Let's go get them lunch. Let's go get them
Lunch,
them
yeah.
meatball sandwiches.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Go ahead and while you guys are eating your meatball sandwiches in Charleston, which I would not trust, that is
Don't you know?
really out of place.
Meatball subs are a common. They're like the food of Charleston.
Kind of weird, and they give you, some, gator meat and tomatoes or whatever. But,
You may think that the meatball sub is actually a New York thing. No, it's a Charleston thing.
yeah, oh yeah, South Carolina cuisine, totally. Go ahead and do a spot hidden.
Pass 46.
Yeah, 33, made it.
Okay, so you guys are eating your meatball sandwiches, and you guys notice, you notice a couple guys looking at you. They're neither of them are familiar to you, but they are they're watching you.
Okay, so I look at Taylor and I say, "What should we do?" Because I'm paranoid as shit. So obviously they're following us.
I kind of stroke the barrel of my rifle, or my shotgun, and say, you know what? I think we're gonna be all right.
That's right. You have your shotgun with you.
Yeah.
Do you? You know what? Oh, okay. Yeah, no. You know what? Hold on. Yep. Okay. So Samus just kind of stares off for just like a second, and then he looks at Taylor and says, "I'm done being followed," and gets up and walks to their table.
And they just kind of look at you and give you a little smirk and say, "Can we help you, Yankee?"
I pull up a chair and I just kind of sit down and I say, "What do you guys have? Meatball subs?"
And they just kind of look at you and say, "What the hell is a meatball sub?"
It's a sandwich. It's on white bread. You put meatballs in it, and then you put marinara, and then you usually put Parmesan on it.
Merrill, what? What the hell is Parmesan? and you can just tell they're poor white trash, basically.
Not following it. So then, you know what? I look at them and I say, well, how about I buy you some? And I go ahead and I order them food and drink. And I say, whatever drink you want, whatever food you want, it's fine. It's no big deal.
They just kind of look at you and laugh. Go ahead and do a psychology roll.
Pass. 24.
Okay. So you, when you look into their eyes, there's just that kind of like veneer of like just stupidity, but you do notice that like there's like a weird, the only way I can describe it is sort of like a fanaticism there, that like they have some sort of like belief system that is like that's keeping them sitting in their chair and not just like scoffing off. Like they have been told by someone to watch you guys. Like you get that exact same feeling, and they will be unshakable in that.
Okay. I look at them and I say, do you mind if I invite my friend over?
And they just kind of look over and they're like, you can do whatever you want.
Well, I was just thinking, because you guys are following us and watching us, what better way to follow us and watch us than just being right here next to us? And I just kind of wave Taylor over.
I sigh, gingerly wipe my mouth, fold my napkin up, get up, sling Betsy over my shoulder. Come on. Over and say, hi boys, how's the squirrel hunting?
And they just kind of chuckle a little bit, and they nod, and they're just sitting back, and they're like, well, little Missy got a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's bigger than yours. I'm sure.
And they kind of nod, and they're like, well, I think we got more guns than you, though, so I think we'll be all right.
Wow. So you are armed. That's good. And I look over at Taylor and I give a smile. That's good. That's good. Preparing for something at the plantation, I see, and I'm kind of trying to I'm trying to give them keywords to see if their faces, give me any indication of what they're doing. Yeah, any kind of tell.
And, as soon as you mention the plantation, this car kind of comes wheeling around, and they get up and they say, well, it was a pleasure talking to you. And they say, we'll be seeing you around, and they kind of tip their hat.
But wait, the food hasn't, you should sit down, And I kind of give a smile, and I lean in and I say, there's more we could talk about. There's more that you can go share with your priest or whatever the fuck you want to call him.
And they just kind of, one of them hawks a big, thing of spits it on the ground, says, take it home with you. I'm sure your fella in the hospital's getting hungry. And then they get in the car and they drive off.
So they know about that, huh?
Right. So.
Why do they keep finding us?
And
How do they know who we are?
And why aren't they attacking us now? Why can I walk up to them and make conversation with them? Well, but why are they?
Well, we are in public.
But why are they? Because we were alone we had been alone at one point in time. Why are they so keen on following us if they know that like one of us is injured? Why aren't they just bolstering defenses up at the plantation? To me, I'm confused as to why they haven't just finished us off.
Maybe they have something else in mind for us.
Yeah, I take it quite personally. I feel like we're special and that they're doing this for our benefit.
We are.
We are.
We are special.
Cheers.
Right.
Cheers.
So, okay, so you guys finish up at the only Italian restaurant in Charleston. Italian in quotations. we'll leave it there. We'll go to the next day, and we'll say that Murphy is able to walk and able to get around. His doctors are still extremely worried about him, but he's able to he's recovered enough that he can get out. The driver, I'll introduce him next time since we're about to close here, but I'll introduce you to Elihu Winsworthy. He's Albert's, yes, he is Albert's friend and driver. So you guys will meet him next time, and then we'll get to the plantation.
Cool.
Hopefully.
Yay!
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Mm.
I can't believe that James Murphy died right there.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Sorry, Murphy, that you kind of had to sit out a long time. You were in a hospital bed for most of the game. But...
Wayne, if you had been here, you would have survived. But no, I'm joking.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
You're up and out of bed.
So we'll get you in next time for sure.
That's fine.
All right. I'd like to let's see. Our players included Thomas McKeon, Kim Smeltzer, Jeff Wilkins, Wayne Worthy, and myself, Tom Rayleigh, with Troy Wheeldryer as the Keeper of the Secrets. Our games are played using traditional tabletop methods with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. Our musical intro, entitled Drunkard's Lone Child, was performed by Clifton Hicks and is being used by us with his permission. You can find his music on his website, cliftonhicks.bandcamp.com, and you'll find a link in the description below. This is Tom Rayleigh inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.
I'm a poor orphan child, I must beg for my bread. My father, he's a drunkard, my mother, she is dead. I wander alone and I moan and I weep for the voice of my mother.